Good morning. Welcome to the conversation on TOS TV Network, your digital first African news network. I'm bringing you the conversation from Abuja, Nigeria's capital city. And of course, my name is Ade Sewelsi. Today on the conversation, there's a whole lot of controversy surrounding some of the presidential aspirants, ahead of 2023 general elections. A lot of persons holding public offices, political offices, have, bought nomination from or declared to their interest in becoming the president of Nigeria, and some of them actually has failed records of not participating or not doing so well in their current position, and then they're still looking, to become president of Nigeria. And that's what we're going to be looking at on the conversation today. Failed public office holders vying for presidency despite glaring records. And to join me in having that conversation here in the studio is Chibweze Ona, a politics and governance analyst. Good morning and welcome to the show.
Good morning and thank you for having me.
Yes, such a pleasure to have you on the show again. Now, let's get straight into it. There's a whole lot of persons that hold political and public offices currently in Nigeria that have failed in their given responsibilities that's still going ahead. So I'm going to give you an example. There's the Senate President, Ahmed Lawan, who in his time has succeeded in making people refer to that assembly as the rubber stamp, Senate Assembly, like they basically would do whatever the executive wants, right? And then there's the Minister of State for Petroleum, the NNPC head, and all of that. Despite the poor situation that we have in Nigeria, the failing oil sector that we have in Nigeria, they're still going ahead to wanting to become president. We still also have, the education minister. ASU has been on strike for the longest, but that seemed not to bother or deter them from, wanting to become president. What is your take on this?
All right. I'll first of all say that every Nigerian, including those you've mentioned their names and many more, have the right to run for elective offices, under the Constitution. But what happens is it's within their rights to say, yes, I want to run, even when I had failed in my previous political appointment or elective office or whatever. But what happens is that's where you begin to think about how much aware is the electorate in Nigeria. Political awareness and political education, because these people understand that they are cashing in on the ignorance of the electorate, and because otherwise the civil society, this is their time. We are supposed to run a critical analysis of all of these previous or current public office holders who are presently running for president. You can't have somebody, for example, the Minister for State for Education, who first of all ask ourselves, what is the salary of a minister for 4 years? Otherwise, let him present to us his tax certificate. Let us see what other business is he doing that he could generate that money. Because if he saves his whole salary for 4 years, it does not amount to 100 million. So the problem is not majorly on people wanting, because sometimes you don't even expect people to assess themselves. Because even the worst of them, or if you ask them to assess themselves, they'll give themselves pass mark. So it's not about us saying they are not supposed to be there. They are that greedy. They are that dumb sometimes, if you have to use that word. But the thing is, it is left for us to vote them out. So if they had in the past people who didn't do well, or people who are perceived not to have done well in public offices and they ran for public office, it's a very simple thing: vote them out. So they have every right to run, but we have every right to vote them out. And the only basis at which you can vote them out is proper political education, because most people don't even understand that these people have, because as a nation we have what I could call national amnesia. Every issue after 2 weeks, 3 days, and you don't even find it on the limelight again. So people seem to have forgotten that these people, this is what they wear or the office they occupied, and this is how badly they were assessed or they performed. But today, when they come out and they give us 1,000, they give us a bag of salt and bags of rice, and we seem to mortgage our future and we say, go again. Your sins are forgiven. But it's not. It is beyond being a saint today, because if you have failed yesterday and you have not even proven, the thing is, the right questions are supposed to be asked at this point.
Okay.
You know, when these guys tell you, I want to be president and I want to do this, a very simple thing. Ask them, how do you intend to do this? Tell us, get your report card, because there should be even a law, if I must even recommend, you know, saying that, like I've always said, if you have been in an elective office and you have completed that elective office maximum term of 8 years, I recommended in my article then that you should step down for half of that, which is 4 years, and then run on your integrity and credibility as a person.
Yes, it's actually quite interesting that you mentioned that it's okay to say that a lot of Nigerians are politically ignorant. But again, is this not a slap on the face of Nigerians? Take for instance, we have a CBN governor who since 2015 that he has been CBN governor, the dollar has been, the naira has been falling drastically against the naira. We have Chris Singige, who was the Minister of Labour and Employment for the longest, and in that time, unemployment rate in Nigeria has gone up, has skyrocketed, still openly, unashamedly vying for presidency. It's like you're failed here, but you're still eyeing the most coveted seat in the country. Isn't that a slap on the faces of Nigerians?
It is a demonstration of how poorly the current administration has performed. Because otherwise, CBN governor, for example, because for CBN governor to say he wants to be president without resigning and without giving us his scorecard, and obviously that we know, you know, it's just as good as saying the INEC chairman wanting to run for president.
Exactly.
Saying that chief of army staff wanting to run for president. Because that's exactly what that means. So this is an office that is not just by mere appointment, it goes by Senate confirmation. So it's a statutory office he's occupying. And now he doesn't even want to let go, and he wants to be president. And Nigerians have not even felt the impact of all the monetary policies that's supposed to be coming out from the CBN. If they have, why are we here? Why has Naira continues to depreciate? You know, why have we remained a consuming nation as against being a producing nation? So, Chris Ngige, you see, most of these guys you see, Chris Ngige, you know, I think by the popular opinion has performed very poorly, you know, in the labor ministry. And he is, you know, I think somehow it filtered away that maybe APC seems to be tilting towards giving their ticket to an Igbo man. And that makes all of these guys, qualified or not qualified, but relying on their closeness with the president and the presidency to throw their luck and see what happens. But like I said, the civil society organizations should come out and begin to x-ray the depth of the, you know, the depth of the corruption and the bad policies these guys has made. So that Nigerians should see it. These guys should bury their head in shame. But the thing is, we have a president, for crying out loud, whose ministers, look at, for example, what happened in Kano. You know, Kano is, in other indices, you can't rate Kano to be faring very well. But what he did, you know, directing all his aides, you know, if you must run for elective office, resign.
You have to resign.
Exactly, that is leadership. You know, we expected Buhari to do so. Because when these guys resign, because if you think you have done so well, that you think that on your honor, you are capable of and eligible to be elected, why are you holding on to the current position and you still want to be president? You know, it is, I think, I wouldn't even say it is a process of, or a product of us going through and rejigging our laws, because we can't even turn our laws. This is a question of common sense. But I'm sure that the electorates and Nigerians are waiting for them. You know, any of the political parties that put their wrong foot forward obviously have lost in this election. You know, but the question is, you know, because why we are getting worried that civil societies are not saying anything and people are not even coming out to condemn this guy's candidature and all that, is because we have never trusted the electoral system in this country. You know, and as long as we've not trusted the electoral system, we will continue to ensure that those guys we are even putting forward, especially in major political parties, which anybody, you can't almost, you see, as it stands now, PDP and APC, whoever they put forward definitely is going to be Nigerian president, either of them. Yes. You know, so that's why we at this point need to shoot down all the wrong candidates and force them to bring out a better candidate. You know,
but how do we do that if say 90% of everyone vying, you know, for that position at this point is maybe not even eligible because Nigerian politics at this point have become so monetized that you cannot even have the most credible of candidates come forward, except you have the money to run. In Senate climes, these persons would have literally resigned since, and then it just seems as though we're running a circus leadership and politics in this kind of country. So how do you even mitigate against picking the right candidate when it has largely been monetized?
Yes, at this point, the whole process rests on the delegates, at this point in time, because it has not come out to be open for us to use PVC and every other person to vote. So the delegates. The thing is, who are the delegates? What is the process of electing or selecting a delegate? Because these delegates, if delegates are currently the way they are currently configured, these people are to a large extent being controlled by the governors.
Okay.
And these governors have their candidates, and these governors have their myopic intentions about which candidate to support. So the whole thing is we need to know who are these delegates in every ward, in every state, and even national delegates. Because we begin to critique how come this person is a delegate. Because if we know the delegates and we hold them accountable, to a large extent, these delegates will be forced to do the correct thing. Okay. But because we don't even know who the delegates are, until a day before you hear that this state A, they voted and they voted this person. And that's exactly where we are. And we must ensure we stop this consensus kind of arrangement. Okay. This consensus kind of arrangement is undemocratic, in my view, because that's short change. Because the thing is, when they come out and tell you that they've reached a consensus, most times people are forced, people are coerced, to stepping down and accepting whoever the powers that be said the person will. So that consensus, and exactly that's where most of these things are tilting towards. PDP, APC, they will end up getting a consensus candidate that does not represent the aspirations and the wishes of the masses and even the electorates. So eventually you find out they go there and obviously if you within the parties or whatever, they win, and tomorrow you can't hold them accountable because actually most of these guys, like you said, they buy their way. Most of those contestants you see, if you throw even the elections open on the other side, they buy it off. They've kept so much money for the delegates. You remember what happened during the PDP National Convention in Port Harcourt and even the APC. So these people, money moves around now. So until we begin to have people hold them accountable, get the delegates and get people, and most importantly, I have to say this now, you see, now we are all looking towards the primaries, who becomes the flag bearer of any political party. I've always said, nobody has said anything about the main election. The bimodal machine that we're using, we don't even know which company produced it. What's the integrity of the company that produced that? This is a normal general computer programming system that they use in producing that. Have we subjected that to an ICT auditing process, to say, okay, this can do those things? Because, in the end, when you find out, when you find them, push those things to the field, eventually you find out that it's not working. And they'll tell you, I'm using Snet form, and we'll land in square one. And in the end, they'll tell you, we had a bimodal machine, we had an up-to-date ICT stuff, but those things are just there to validate the corrupt processes they have kept aside, because they know it's not going to work. So I enjoin PDP and all these political parties who are struggling to take over power from APC to ensure they audit that process. We need to know who did that. And, for example, they need to get PwC, private water coopers, to audit that process and say, okay, this process can give us what we want. Okay. So I think for now, that's just where I want to leave it, that it's not just primaries and it's not just putting those, the main election as well, because now governance has shut down. We're talking about politics. And if we talk about politics, we must talk it end to end so that after this, we must put Nigeria back to the wheels of progress. Okay.
All right. Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts with me on the conversation. That's about the time that we have on the show this morning. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you very much.
And thank you for staying with me on the conversation this morning. Do not forget, I'll be back here same time, same channel tomorrow. But before that, you can be a part of the conversation across all social media platforms. That's TOS TV Network on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. The channel to subscribe to on YouTube is TOS TV Network. And of course, stream our website, www.tostvnetwork.com, for news, stories, and happenings from across the world. Thank you again. My name is Adesu. I'll see you, and please join me again tomorrow.